is Loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is David Palmer, Leo King, and we are live here for Deep Astrology. It's October the 9th of 2018. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being part of this live show where we are going deeper and deeper into the cosmic vibes and seeing what's going on, you know, especially during these times. I say that every week, though. I mean, literally 2018 and actually going back to 2012, just fucking, here we go, you know. But we are going to talk about the astrology, and then, of course, we go deeper and we actually look at the charts and we show it to you on screen. So if you've never been on this show before, we really are all about being uncut and raw at the beginning and then getting very technical and specific at the second part of this show. And this is a week where we are diving fucking deep, literally, in the astrology, because we are entering into the Scorpio world. Yes, we've already seen a little hint of it with this Venus retrograde that began on October the 5th, dealing with relationships and projects and money and all these ideas of what makes us fulfilled in life and what we want, all going in retrograde to go deep to the bottom of what's really there. But on top of that, Jupiter, right? It's been in Scorpio almost a year, right? Okay, guess what? It's out of its shadow. So that means Jupiter now is moving forward, and it's actually going to space that we haven't been to for 12 years. So there's a lot of things starting to explore here deeper into our needs, our sexual desires, our commitments and our wants, our financial aspects. We are now really starting to open up this Pandora's box, you know what I mean? Like, it's starting to really start to open up. And you want to add to the whole mix that Mars today, on Tuesday, literally came out of its shadow period. So Mars has been in its crazy retrograde cycle since it came into that 28-degree Capricorn spot in April of 2018 near the end. And guess what? It's over. But it is not over in a sense, because it is now going to square Venus retrograde this week. Oh my gosh. So talk about intensity of making powerful, electric, radical, unpredictable decisions almost on the fly, like crazy random events starting to show up of what we want and our deeper needs being exposed, and the nakedness is getting insane now of our feelings, and we are covering through, not even covering through, we are uncovering through so much of our real stuff there. There's been a lot of clouded kind of energy, or just like thick sediment of so much of what we want and what feels right, so much exposing of our own dark side, so much exposing of our own parts of ourselves that maybe we have trouble dealing with, our edge, our desires, and you know what those really are. I think that, you know, with Jupiter in this position of being in Scorpio while a Venus retrograde's happening in Scorpio, this is an odd one. We haven't seen this one for decades. I mean, a long time. You'd have to do the math to see that one and do some really crazy math. But, you know, this is a new game, right? It's like, this is really shifting our opinions, Jupiter, about what we really want. We maybe thought we knew what we really wanted, but guess what? No, now Mars is in square this week, and it's in Aquarius, and now it has this deeper look with its masculine energy at its strongest capacity again, at full speed ahead, in a square with a very slow retrograde deep cycle of digging deeper in our feminine side of our deeper desires. Like, this is like, whoa, what's going on here? I thought it was this, maybe it's not. And Mercury entered Scorpio just hours ago here on Tuesday, October 9th, and it's opposing Uranus in Taurus. So this is going to change the ball game even more of unpredictability, of new information coming up from deep within your soul, of deep within your desires, and seeing a whole different understanding of what is the world we want. That's more quality, that's better. Because if you look at this Uranus Taurus and you mix it with all this Scorpio, I mean, this is this huge opposition, right? About okay, we have desires, we have wants, we have needs, but like, what is the best? What is going to hold those things together? Taurus is a container. It is a garden. It is a place where you harvest and is where you manifest. So sure, I might have, you might have lots of desires, but like, will it actually be good for the garden, or will it become a weed? With Neptune and Pisces, of course, which has been making a semi-square to Jupiter. It's a 45-degree angle, okay? This has been, with Pluto, but with Neptune, which has been making these very odd aspects as well to this whole thing. But the whole Pluto thing is like, what is the deeper want and need that's healthy or not healthy or really good for us? This has been a very conflicting thing of like structure, but the Neptune aspect has been this like, am I really in the right space? This new moon we just had was in quincunx to Neptune. It was in this kind of weird, like, okay, whoa, like, am I going through a lot of subconscious, unconscious parts of my desires? And are they balanced and are they in alignment with things? Or am I like going off course? And then there's this whole guilt thing that shows up with Chiron retrograde in Pisces and all this intensity of like the shame or things that fell apart and how we deal with the sensitivity of those things. This is a freaking stretch of our feelings at the most dramatic levels and changing feelings at the most dramatic levels, okay? On top of that, Mercury and Venus are going to conjunct this week, all while at the same time, the sun is going to square Pluto this week. So when you add we're going to have 4 energies in Scorpio, the moon, Mercury in an opposition to Uranus. That's actually happening tonight, believe it or not. So there's a lot of energy shifting right now as I'm doing this show on Tuesday in your life of like a new understanding of how can we manifest these deeper, real understanding. This is the detective Mercury when it's in Scorpio. Like Dick Tracy is on the fucking scene. And Dick Tracy's trying to find some crazy algorithm to get something better in our life for what we want. But I think what's interesting about this is with the sun in Libra squaring Pluto and Capricorn, it's like, geez, in order to get where we want with Pluto and Capricorn to these new structures and changing our lives and what's our destiny and what we feel is our path, I think that we come into this kind of really weird vibe where we have to go, you know what? But what is also going to be, the right connections, who's in alignment with me, and what is a peaceful place for me? Because when we're dealing with lots of Scorpio and edge and desire and, I call it the vampire, right? Like some people take that the wrong way. Scorpio also is the transcendence, of course, and the phoenix rising. So there's a lot of dualistic aspects of every sign. But Scorpio does rule the taboo, right? So it rules tattoos, it rules STDs, it rules orgasms, it rules, transcendence, it rules kundalini, it rules all these things. But with Libra, it's like, okay, like, where's the balance of all that? Like, am I taking it all too far? Jupiter, too far? Am I taking my deep sexual needs? Am I taking my kundalini energy? Am I taking my deepest desires, almost my obsessions? This is also Scorpio, too far? This sun square Pluto is going, okay, like, whoa, we're trying to figure out this track in life, and we're trying to find some balance and harmony, but we've got this massive, overdone part of ourselves that is just exploring the deepest realms of our soul, and where is some sort of balance? Where is some sort of harmony in all this? Is there harmony? Is there a way to figure this out? That's what Mercury's trying to understand here. Coming into Scorpio, you got to remember that in November, Mercury's going to go retrograde. So we're going retrograde with Mercury in about a month. It will retrograde in Sag, but it will actually come back into Scorpio. So guess what? Mercury is going to be entering into the Scorpio realm too to try and understand these deeper wants, deeper needs over this next couple months. On top of that, it's Venus retrograde. And how ironic that this Venus retrograde squaring Mars, like I said. This is like, I've always used the example of Mars square Venus as like the one night stand, or, like the fuck it, I'm putting pedal to the metal right now because I want to. But like, oh man, like, did you see the police officer on that corner? Or did you really think before, you know, jumping into this fully, like putting all your energy in without seeing, like, are you ready for that identity change, or are you ready for that new thing that you're going to take on to have to harvest and manifest in your life? So there's a lot to think about here, because there's revelations happening with the Mercury opposite Uranus. There's crazy intense vibration of like starting to go, you know what, I want this. And there's a little bit of that obsession aspect of Venus. And then on top of that, Mercury this week squares the North and South node. So there's this aspect in the North node of Leo, right? Our heart and what actually our pure heart is, our childlike heart. And then there's this Aquarian, rebel, wild, kind of erratic, but genius that wants to just say, fuck it, I want to just kind of go. And honestly, the true edgiest in the zodiac is Aquarius and Scorpio together. And when they're in square, we're almost in one way addicted to edge and desire and a radical, crazy fucking story. Or are we going to choose passion, integrity, intensity with childlike, pure heart? And so this is a very, very difficult week, because you are battling edge at the highest degrees of radicalism and heart and edge, and what side is the side to choose. Now, I want to let everybody know this is not an end-all, be-all like moment. It can feel like that. Like if we look at the astrology for the whole month of October, I mean, we are going to be going through freaking a gnarly storm of gnarly scorpionic energy and shifting of emotions and stuff. This Venus retrograde hasn't even hit the crazy zone yet. Hasn't even hit it. But we can take this week and start to go, okay, now I'm starting to see this Venus retrograde and what it's starting to do. At least we start to get down a layer. At least we start to get down one floor down the basement. But how many floors does this basement go? So after the Sun squares Pluto this week, we have all this. The Moon comes actually into Sagittarius this week too. So at least there is this moment, I think, we kind of pull out and we go, okay, like where is this all going? Am I willing to really experience this choice I'm starting to make, and my desires, my needs, my wants? But remember, the Sun is in Libra the whole time. Kind of in this whole like, well, that side's great and that side's great, but you have to really kind of see which one's heavier, which one's lighter, which one's got more pros, which one's got more cons. And only you can do that in yourself, and that is an intellectual mind fuck. And I think the Sun square Pluto is the most important transit of this week, because I think we are dealing with, if you actually think about this very deeply, I just thought about this right now. We have Mars square Venus, and then we have Sun square Pluto. We're dealing with massive squares, and we're dealing with desire and needs and wants and awareness, and we're dealing it with the higher octaves of Mars and Pluto, which is identity, desire, and need. And then we're dealing with the Sun and Venus, which are, a little bit different. I mean, the Sun definitely is very cheery and the soul and the consciousness, and Venus is this feminine like need of feeling connected and feeling that it has what it needs to grow and create what it wants. And so this is an important time for us to know, as we weigh things out. It's like look at your long-term horizon here and start to put yourself, 10 years from now. Start to put yourself 20 years from now, like who you are, and this intense Kundalini, sexual, taboo, edgy, wild, erratic side, and the choices that you're choosing in yourself, in your relationships, and in your path. As you're weighing it out, where do you see yourself with what side you choose in 10 to 20 years? And is that part of who you really are in your inner child? Or is that an egoic identification that you love to identify with that brings you stimulation but always leaves you empty and alone? There's a little bit of that alone factor going on in the zodiac right now, okay? When you got Mars in square to Venus, so we don't want to feel lonely, right? We want to connect very intensely. When you got the Sun square Pluto, it's like, you know, facing this deeper need, this obsession, this desire at such extreme levels. But it also is a revealer. This is a major revealing this week with Mercury in Scorpio, with the moon in Scorpio, with Mercury conjunct Venus retrograde. There is going to be this moment where Mercury passes Venus retrograde and we start to see and we start to understand this very rare look at, you know, a deeper part of our desires and needs, and trying to really start to see and understand these deeper layers while we're kind of being revealed of these deeper back subconscious parts of ourself that maybe have kind of just been going through the experience of our desires and feeling them deep inside. But like, which ones reach us to ultimate happiness? Which ones reach us to a higher realm? Which ones reach us to true love? And which ones take us to a planet off the fucking universal path with fucking weird shit and weird people and just weird fucking energy? Where you're like, where the fuck did I just end up? Because that's what this is about. Like, Mars in Aquarius for this long, after it's just come direct, guess what? Yeah, our ego wants to go into these crazy weird worlds because in these weird worlds we can express our fucking crazy, radical, deep, secret selves. But with the South Node here, is it really gonna pay off? It's kind of like going to like an alien strip club on fucking like Neptune's moon or something. Like, okay, explore your desires in that one, see how that one goes, but like, I don't know if you're gonna wanna like get a hotel there. And maybe there's not a lot of flights leaving there, and it does take probably, who knows, 30, 40 years on a freaking airplane, I mean on a spaceship to get back. So like, you kind of like are at a point to where you're like, well, yeah, maybe I don't know if I wanna keep ending up in these weird places, in these weird worlds. Now, coming into this weekend, you know, there's a little bit of things kind of breaking off, so there is a little bit of breathing room. But the main thing that I think is this moon in Capricorn, which definitely is going to bring up another sun-moon square. But the moon is going to be covering over Saturn and through Pluto. And I think that this is definitely going to be about, you know, okay, there's a path. There's one that's the best for us, that's weighed out from harmony and balance and certain types of things. And we can't worry so much about what other people think. We know what's best for our path, no matter how fucking neurotic and crazy we look. Because the truth is that we can choose whatever we really want in this life. This has been an anomaly. Last week was talking about how this is an anomaly. This has been so rare, this Mars square Uranus and this whole South Node Mars, and how this whole retrograde process was, and how rare this retrograde Venus is to come after a Mars retrograde and have Mars coming out of shadow exactly when it squares Venus retrograde. So we've been in an anomaly of energy over the last year that is not normal. It's not normal. We've dealt with very unnormal circumstances. And I don't want to see that things are normalizing, but internally we are normalizing the understanding of who we really are. And then we start to have to, kind of like a scientist, as Mars is in Aquarius and as Mercury is in Scorpio, a deep detective, we have to do our own detective work and be like, you know what, okay, all these crazy anomalies happened this year. Like, what did I learn from those? What did I experience deep in myself and what my desires are, my wants? And like, am I going to base where I'm going on my journey and my decisions in my life based off the reactions to the anomaly? Or is this really going to be a point in life, as Mars is squaring Venus and as Venus is retrograde on Mercury, where we can be completely open in relationships, where we can truly discuss things, where we can be completely 100% our authentic selves and deal with the dark and the light that we are as human beings, deal with the anomalies of the crazy and radical and weird and fucking fanatical situations that we have gone through with other people, with crazy circumstances, with social media, since this is Aquarius and it is a social media world, with all the crazy shit we've gone through. Can we all, with this sun in Libra, find a way to work out that we all got deep shit, that we all got deep fucking weird shit that we are dealing with? There is no perfection on the planet. This is not a perfect planet. We are not perfect people. We all do sin. We all do have desires. We all then experience other sides of that, where then we see other people and how they live, and whether we get jealous from it or we get envy or we get weird about it. Like, we could like definitely start to feel all these crazy fucking emotions, and then all these needs and these obsessions and then these wants. But I want you to remember that as you take this case by case with the people in your life, with the relationships, with the projects, with the businesses, that you take in consideration the anomaly that has happened of this year. You have been through a year where every planet retrograded this year. Every planet retrograded this year. Every planet at the beginning of the year was direct. We are now finishing some of these retrogrades. As in November, Venus finishes retrograde, Neptune finishes its retrograde. Now Uranus, we got a little bit of time, but you know, there's this point where we have to start to look in ourselves and go, that's some crazy shit that happened. Are we going to base everything off that crazy shit? Now, sure, yes. There's some things that are just undeniable, not in our truth, that don't feel right. But that's up to you and your ability to judge the situations. Find equality, fairness, guilt, non-guilt, whatever, but being open to transparency of truth, of who you are, of what is deep within you and who you are, and if people accept that or they don't. And that's what this has all led to. And no matter how crazy the situation seems that they are, it doesn't matter what fucking people think. It doesn't matter at all. All that matters is if you, yourself, North Node and Leo, feel that this feels right for you in your life, whatever it is. And if you happen to be doing that in relationship fields, whether or not you two are seeing it on the fucking same page and have explored the depths of your truth and the real crazy shit and probably experience crazy, wild, and intense emotional stuff that fucking reveals things that you're like, we're not ready to be fucking told. Like, whoa, that happened? Like, that's who, that part, there's a part of you who you are. Wow, there's a part of me and that's how I am? Holy fucking shit, I guess I am that motherfucker, right? Like, whoa. That's the fucking crazy part of all this Scorpio shit. Is like, whoa, we're in our own haunted house. But this one has Jupiter, so it's like there's floaties on us. There's like, you know, there's protective guards. That's what the whole experience is. We've already gone through our freak shows since 2012 when Saturn went into Scorpio. And so, yeah, this last 6 years, this is the Venus-Jupiter aspects trying to clean up the last 6 years of your life. Because I guarantee you, and especially 2013, when Saturn really got strong, came to that first decade, out of that first decade and really fucking changed things with the whole change of the galactic shift point and the nodes getting ready to move into Scorpio and Taurus. Then you have to remember that was some gnarly shit this last fucking 5.5 years, okay? You went through the deepest fucking gnarliest shit of your life. And why do you think right now it's all coming all up again to be crazy over this last year? Because this is all bringing all that up to clear it all out. So there is no real concrete like decisions yet. There really is no concrete understanding of all of it. Because everybody is going through their fucking shit. Everybody is going through their truth. Everybody is going through their deepest, darkest truths. And some of it, fuck, man, not going to be easy to deal with. I'm going to be honest with you. Some of it, you're just going to be like, I don't know if I can deal with this in my fucking life. But that's where you have to go, okay, well, like, let me be open and let me also look at myself and be empathetic to realizing that I maybe am going through my own crazy shit and exposing my own crazy shit too. And there's shit popping up and like, fuck, this is who I am. And we're in a society today that is not accepting of people's dark shit. Now, I'm not saying that it's right. But right now, with Mars in Aquarius out of shadow, with the South Node there, and Venus in retrograde, and Jupiter in Scorpio, right? And then out of shadow, and now we're coming now here with Mercury and the Moon this week. Guess what? Society doesn't want to accept the truth of who you are. That automatically now is starting to judge with the Sun in Libra who the fuck you are without even taking in consideration the balancing, the weighing out, the empathetic communication, and the revealing of like why and who you are, and also the reflection back of put yourself in someone else's shoes, put yourself in your shoes and the shit you've done. Nobody's better than anybody else at this point. Like, this is all the planets hanging out on the other side of the zodiac. There's only one planet that is on the first 6 signs, Uranus. So we are in a huge imbalance. Uranus is in Taurus, coming back into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, so the first 2 signs. Everything else now is completely on the other side. The bottom of the chart in astrology, okay? Like, this is a gnarly time where the world doesn't understand the depths of our individual selves. The world doesn't understand that we all are fucking weird, unique, that we are all not perfect, and we all have some really fucked up shit that we do. And that's the truth. And where your gauge is and your judgment is on that, and with Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn, the new set of rules and integrity are being defined, but they still are not defined. We're going to define those over these next couple of years. That's what this whole Saturn-Pluto conjunction is about in 2019 into 2020. So, like, this is about the open aspect of really doing that stuff and exploring that and being open and being honest and being vulnerable and seeing how tough you really are with truth. And if you can be somebody that is empathetic to truth within yourself and in others, if you can not worry about the world and society and how it judges or how it identifies the way that things should be, and whether you can listen to your own heart and accept those truths and move in that direction this week. So let's take a look at the charts. We have a cord today because we forgot to charge the iPad. And today's drink, because this is now the new thing about deep astrology, I think more people tune in to just see what I'm drinking today, is Blue Raspberry Cherry Powerade. And I'm not sponsored by them, but I go to this one AM PM Arco, I don't know. They're in California. Not all the time, but they have this flavor and not my other flavor. And I'm always like, whatever, I'll take it. Blue, raspberry, cherry. Very scorpionic, right? Like, let's mix some blue, some raspberry, and some cherry. Why not? Actually, that's very Aquarian too, and scorpionic. So anyway, let's take a look at these charts because there's a lot to reveal here about what I talked about, because I know what I talked about, there's a lot. But let's take a look at this, see what's going on here. So today, just ran this chart for October 9th. Look at this. Bam-o! That was a little fast. Mercury now in Scorpio. Look at the moon. Entering to mix right there. So these two together. Moon leaving Libra, been weighing a lot out. We just had a new moon, right? Setting this whole thing about trying to find a peaceful world in our life. That's really what this next month is about, to be honest with you, is trying to find peace. But now that, boom, here we are. The moon's going to move in with Mercury. Look at that opposition, okay? Bam-o. To Uranus and Taurus. Look at this. The nodes. Bam-o. We are going to see this fixed cross all the way up into basically Halloween. And so this is going to happen a lot, this reoccurring theme of planets coming in to oppose Uranus and square the nodes. And this is a fixed cross because this is looking deeply at, okay, one, there's new information coming in about our truth, maybe even secrets revealed, just things that are being revealed in our deeper feelings and wants, because of course we do have this Venus retrograde happening, right? So like this is a lot. Now Jupiter's at 2349, it's out of shadow because it went retrograde at 23, and it's now about to move forward and finish through till it comes to Sagittarius. This is about really now exploring the stuff that has been on hold, that has been kind of like, I guess you could say, kind of stuck in our conscious. Like we've been kind of like stuck in this like kind of deep scorpionic, like intense desire world, but like not really getting it. It's kind of like being stuck in mid-orgasm, but not coming. Now that we got Uranus in opposition in Taurus, it's like, well, how do we find like a more quality, better world, a better connection in our life, and reinvent the way we have this better life? Well, you know, we take this information and we apply that to this big cross, and what we get is, you know, happiness is out there. We're also having Uranus now, which is starting to square the node. So it's like, how do we ascend to a better world? Well, since Uranus rules Aquarius, and that's the south node, we might not want to try rebellion. I was saying this at the beginning of 2018. I said this at the end of 2017. I really feel that rebellion is not the answer to these times. And I know that a lot of people are going to fucking say, I don't see that, I don't get that. But rebellion, anarchy, breaking away from into your own craziness against things that you don't like is bringing us to realize that there are better ways to get what we need, and that's love. And I know that might sound so fucking cliche, but this North Node in Leo is doing everything it can, and it is coming to the last degrees of this whole 18.5-month cycle of the nodes. But really, remember, the nodes go backwards. So if you look, you know, like the North Node's here at 2 degrees, okay? Like, but it's these first couple degrees of Leo. The best people in the world are born on the first day of Leo. Because these first degrees of Leo are the true loving, emotional cusp of Cancer, Leo, the moon and the sun, this deeper need. This is the peak of the highest part of astrology, which is the cusp of Leo and Cancer. So when you look at true astrology and the planetaries understanding and aspects, I've drawn it for y'all many times. The sun and the moon are at the top, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. Then you get down to Saturn, right? So it's like, and that's how all the signs play out. Leo, Cancer, the sun and moon. Gemini, Virgo, Mercury, Libra, Taurus, Venus. So when you get down to this, Mars, Aries, Scorpio, you know, Jupiter, Sag, Pisces, and then you get to Saturn, which is Capricorn and Aquarius. So the North Node is heading towards this very rare peak spot. And it's love, it's care, and it's emotion. And instead of becoming some fucking crazy rebel for your desires and needs and your upsetness and your anger and your fears, because the truth is all the anger right now that's fueled in the world is based off fear. Let's pause on that one for a sec. All the anger in the world right now is based off fear. Fear of losing things, fear of things turning out the way that you don't want to, fear of a world, a situation, a relationship going in a direction that you don't want. That's what this Mars square Venus shit is. So Mars, now it's out of its shadow. Let's get rid of some of this shit here, so, okay. Oh my gosh, just throw out of here, throw out of here. See, I have a fear that it won't leave the page, and I'm mad, and I'm just kidding. So Mars, 9 degrees, right? Boom. We'll show you guys in the chart here in a second, but that's starting to make that square to Venus. So, you know, rebellion is not the answer, I guess you could say. It's really love. And instead of rising up against people or rising up against the world or rising up against this group, as Mars wants to do, rise up against the people, rise these people up against those people, rise my life in this world because this world sucks. And especially as it's squaring Mars or Venus in Scorpio in retrograde, oh, my relationships, or this job's not going the way I want, or this situation, or my financial situation, or whatever. It's the lesson of like, no, love. Like, do we really think politically in the world right now, the clash between left and right is going to be fought by rebellion and by the rising of people and the rising of a blue wave or the rising of a red wave? No. Sorry. That's just playing the same fucking bullshit game. This is about inspiration. Who is going to show the way of light? Do you realize that we had crazy situations politically in the world? It wasn't the fucking presidents, it wasn't the Republicans, it wasn't the Democrats that changed the fucking world. It was Martin Luther fucking King who changed the world. It was people who stepped outside of the fucking political structure and showed inspiration and showed love and showed without this whole rebellion thing, without this whole like rise against, you know, like negatively and tarnishing people on both sides of the aisle. Think of this in your own life, that the things that are playing out in the political field right now are exactly what you're going through in your life, that you're fucking doing, that other people are doing to you and you're doing to them. Like, this is about finding love, finding inspiration, finding that inspiration changes the world. Right now, a young child right now who's playing on the fucking street, handball, who's giving a flower to a little girl or something, is inspiring the world more than all these other fucking people squabbling over crap and angry over this, and we got to rise against this person, and this person's this. It's like, this Leo energy is trying to show us this beauty of, why don't we lead by being more of a heartfelt world? Why don't we stop being so toxic? This is toxicity at its highest form, this astrology right now. And this sun in Libra is fucking not happy. Because it's like, is there a beautiful world anywhere with all this toxicity? Let's go to October 10th. The reason why, the moon, Mercury, and Jupiter here in Scorpio. So see, you can see here's Jupiter 2359, it's out of shadow, okay? Because it's at that 24th degree now. But look at this square. I cannot believe this. So I'm predicting some gnarly events here on October 10th, which is tomorrow. But Mars now at 10 degrees, completely out of the shadow degree. Even though it was like by the minute shadow on Tuesday it came out, the Mars retrograde of this zone that it went back and forth with since April, man, oh, that thing is over. So we could put a big X and a clearing and check mark and A+, you're done. But now Mars exactly squaring the moon, which is in detriment, Venus, which is in detriment. These are very difficult positions. Well, it's actually moon in fall position and the Venus detriment. So this is not very positive connection, okay? And then it's squaring Mars, okay, which is at full strength, and Venus, which is extremely weak. So the feminine energy is extremely weak right now, okay? And you got the moon over it. And so, this is about us trying to find some very nurturing, positive, loving, and caring energy without bringing toxicity to things. But unfortunately, I think that there's going to be a lot of unconscious people out there in the world that are not going to realize this, see this, especially when you have Mercury at 1 degree in Scorpio revealing things in opposition exactly to Uranus, ready to kind of, say and reveal and do some crazy shit. So there's two parts of this. I think that there's some crazy revelations of positivity and emotionally deeply connecting and, finding some deep emotional resolve on deeper issues of truth. While with this Mars square being like, maybe there is a different world to create, maybe there is a better world, and there is this part of re-identifying the world off this new truth, and that change can happen. And change can happen instantly, like out of nowhere. Like what's so beautiful about retrogrades to me is how, out of nowhere karma just pops up and changes things. But my terrifying part of this chart and what this Wednesday brings, with the sun beginning its square to Pluto too, within a degree, is this toxic element of, either complete emotional, devastation and destruction of Mars, to some very feminine energy and to some, whatever. This is where the role of the masculine has to be there for the feminine, okay? And so, this is where men were brought on the planet for, was to honor the divine feminine. And the divine feminine is not in a good space. This is where men have the test truly of showing their honor to the goddess as it's going through its deepest transformational experiences. And in Aquarius, finding a way to offer help and to find awesome resolve and to find some beautiful ways of connection and to find a higher road. Or this is the opposite that will take place in people in your life, the world events where you're going to see toxicity. You're going to see people taking a lower road, people taking kind of a demonstrous place, a destruction mode, and an emotional, very deep, repression aspect to this very low. It's already, Venus is beaten on the fucking ground right now. She has been beat up. The moon in detriment or in fall is going to feel it in Scorpio and be like, oh, she's fucked up. She's got blood on her face. She's been beaten on the floor. And then now Mars is there being like, do we just kick it one more time? Like, fucking, pfft. Whoa, that's fucked up. So some fucked up shit definitely in the astrology this week, if you let it happen. So, but you also need to be prepared for it. I'm not saying you choose the high road and everything's going to go only great. Like, we're in a world where, I'm going to be honest with you, and we're in our own personal lives where sure, there's going to be some high roads that are going to be taken this week, and new truths and new change and newfound love and newfound inspiration and some newfound balance and harmony. But at the same time, there's going to be other parts of our lives where we feel like we're being kicked fucking down when we're already down. And then kicked in the fucking face. Like, I hate to get real freaking gnarly and specific, but if you ever watch American History X, I mean, go put your mouth on the fucking curb and have somebody kick your fucking head on the curb. That is this transit. And the choice of doing that or not. Really fun show today. All right, let's look at October 11th. I gotta say, I love October 11th because some of the best people in my whole life were born on this day. So if you're born on October 11th, you have a special spot for me in your heart, because for some reason, you know, some of my most karmic relationships, friendships, girlfriends, just people in my life, just October 11th people just, I don't know, they just have an extremely special spot in my heart. So here's that Sun square Pluto though, and I'm really feeling for those born on October 11th because they're going through massive change. And so I think that after this deep, kind of harsh, intense Mars-Venus square, but that also brings intense connection, like, too, but I used a negative form of the mouth on the curb and being kicked down when you're already down. I would say the positive would be like, you know, juicing up a project, bringing out your best energy, stepping into a new intense vibration and bringing it higher and not worrying about those, you know, effects about what people think and stepping into a higher vibe. But this Sun square Pluto is intense because it's demanding, this Pluto demands this Libra to come up with some sort of decision, like decision about like what is, you know, your description of peace and judgment of what you, where you want to go in your life and what you want to commit to, and what is your deep fears? What is your fear that's holding you from beauty? What is the fear that's holding you from that beauty that will actually get you to where you really want to go in your life? Like, why are you afraid? Because this is going to bring up so much fear in our life around true intimacy issues that are holding us from our deepest path. It also brings up deep, deep fears around destroying things, not in a negative way, or putting an end to things that are not maybe on our path. But what are those things? You know, we can get kind of lost right now. Like, is it, do I end this relationship, or do I end this part of myself that's in a relationship? Do I revive something, or do I revive this part of myself that I lost because I gave it away? This is the tricky shit that's going on. And it's all while the moon and Jupiter are conjuncting in Scorpio for the first time in 7 months. March? Yeah. This is the first time that the moon is going to conjunct Jupiter out of shadow, direct, in 7 months. So we are entering into a new journey on October 11th, which will be prevailed by the events from the 9th to the 10th. And I feel that this is going to take us through this Venus retrograde. And I wouldn't be surprised if over, you know, this period here of October 9th, 10th, into the 11th, that there is this kind of emotional revealing of, yeah, this is where I'm going, this is where I feel my truth is at this moment, and going on that place. Mars is still squaring Venus that whole time. So that's important to note very clearly. And I think it's even more important for us to know that when we look at this and we finish the moon on the 11th, before it comes into Sag, that we pay attention to our feelings into the evening hours if you're in North America, or if you're in Europe, early in the morning, like early, like your breakfast time, because that's where the moon is going to cover where Jupiter is going to finish in Scorpio and clear out a lot of stuff that happened in your life with Saturn there. So, like, really feel what's going on. There's secrets to be revealed there in your life. Also, Mercury is squaring the nodes exactly, still at 2 degrees. It goes to 3, but for most of the day, it's at 2. So there's this big kind of question of the journey. We got the moon on Jupiter and we got Mercury on the nodes. And it's interesting because Jupiter and Mercury, of course, definitely are our mind, our higher intellectual mind of expansion and philosophy, and our deeper, more primitive, more ideological, more logistical mind. So both these aspects, while the sun's squaring Pluto, like, this is fucking intense. Fast. Like it's not like we're jumping into Scorpio here on Tuesday night, coming into Wednesday morning, wherever you're at in the world. But like fucking, it's like fucking, like it just drops. Just like boom. Like there's no fucking, it's just like, there's no fucking around. It just goes down. Just goes down. Just like boom. And whatever the universe is kind of pulling you into, like that's where you're going to figure out this whole retrograde. Like you might have thought you were going somewhere else, but Mercury opposed Uranus is telling you, no, it's going a different way. So what you thought was going to happen is probably not happening. And the direction that you thought you were going is not exactly where it's going. I do got to get out of here, so I got to finish this right now. So finally, Venus comes out of 10 degrees where it's been stationing for weeks, and finally comes to 9 degrees. The moon is in Sag. The sun's off its square to Pluto, and now the sun is free for a while to just kind of go. So there's a positive moment. I think Friday definitely is a positive moment. It's opening things up. It's exploring now outside of the depths and seeing this kind of beautiful new vision, this kind of bigger picture, and where is it all going, and the journey and the questions of that journey, and the fire that we find inside. And it is in nice sextile with Mars, which is at full speed. So I think that we're really kind of coming into this weekend with a newfound energy, a newfound, exciting vibe, and also, seeing what's there to offer. And the sun in Libra definitely has that positive quality to it all. I do want to note one thing before I switch to the next chart is Uranus is at 1 degree exactly and moving back into the 0 degree spot. And Uranus and Neptune are still in that semi-square. So we do have some weird kind of worlds we're exploring that nobody's going to understand. And only you can understand that in yourself. So don't stop worrying about other people and what their opinions are about your own world. Now this weekend is the preparation for the Mercury-Venus conjunction, okay? So when we look at this, I forgot to mention that Mercury was sextiling Saturn, but it's so fast. It's like we're making major decisions very fast this week. That's another reason why we're in the major drop. But the moon sextiling the sun is very positive to give us kind of this new crisp vibe in the middle of this deep, intense shit we're going through, which is positive. And really, I mean, honestly, Saturday's pretty chill. It's one of the more chiller days. It's Sunday where things get intense again, because now we're going to have 3 planets in Capricorn, and we're going to have 3 planets in Scorpio, with the sun here in Libra. And, Mars is full speed ahead again. But, the major thing, I think, is this Moon-Saturn conjunction, which definitely is, did I make the right choice? Is this the right road? Is this now just work? you know, this is bringing up a lot of things because I think like our desires and the electricity of Mars this week coming full speed ahead and in Aquarius bring a lot of exciting energy, have us make some choices deep in ourselves of where we're going to go. But then this weekend by Sunday, it's kind of become like the electricity, the fuel to the edge dies a little bit. And the realization of work, the realization of reality, the realization of how that you're going to have to own what you've chosen, especially with this scorpionic vibe requiring commitment to it and with all this energy in Capricorn. So just be prepared. Like, there's going to be a lot of electricity this week. Midweek and and then like the weekend it finally kind of dies down, but then Sunday is like, okay, that's reality check, like, and the electricity's dying, and you know, we're going through this retrograde, and we're going to understand it better on Monday, because on Monday it really is this Mercury Venus conjunction at 8 degrees, and the moon still in Capricorn. I think that there's a lot for us to realize. Okay, we're understanding what we want. We're understanding as best we can, right? It's Venus retrograde, so we're trying to. But I think at the end of the day, like, there's all this Capricorn that's saying, you know, like, there's a reality here. And there's a quest in life. And a long-term one. That quick hits, quick desires, quick things don't last. That structures now that are being built need to last a long time. And there's work in that involved. And you know deep down by the end of this week, and I don't even need to keep showing the fucking astrology. You know at the end of this week, and you know throughout most of it, but I would say by the end that you realize that the best things in life take time. The best things in life are in alignment with your path and supportive of your path, that are committed to your path. The people that are committed to your path and aren't unwavering, that's the right thing. And we're going to see these archetypes of people who are committed and then people who are not. And it's about balancing out who is, but also balancing out, like, there's maybe reasons why, and maybe those need to be communicated, and maybe those exchanges need to be happening. Whether that's in business transactions, whether that's in love and romantic relationships, whether that's in friendships right now. You know, there's a lot. I mean, we're dealing with lots of people with Mars and Aquarius. So, like, and we're dealing with lots of people with Venus retrograde and Scorpio. But so there is this kind of like realization that even though we have these archetypes, like, I'm there all the way, but maybe I'm not there all the way, or you're not all the way, because there's this that you do, and there's this that I don't like, and there's this that I like, but there's this I don't like, right? And we start to like become like, are we creating toxicity now of what I don't like and what I want? And yes, I know it's very important to do whatever you want in your heart, and that's going to make you feel great. But I think that the South Node in Aquarius kind of does keep the balance of like, well, like, look at it from a lot of angles, give things some time, see things from other people's perspectives, be honest and authentic, and see if both are willing to do the work. And everybody, it's not a union thing of like, especially because all this like Libra, it's like, yeah, we're down to do the work. But, you know, when the sun leaves Libra and we're getting through life, it becomes this individual form that we live in, where it's like, are you willing to do work in life? Are you willing to commit to certain projects? Are you willing to commit to certain relationships? Are you willing to commit to the work in yourself of transformation of your own true needs, desires, and self? Like, it's like, are you willing to just do the work or not? And if you're not willing to do it, Saturn doesn't want you there anyways because it's not going to accomplish the goal, so he has no problem with you like quitting. But he also knows that if you quit, you won't get where you want to go in that space. So, like, don't put so much pressure on yourself. If you don't feel that you can do the work for things in your life, relationships, projects, or even your own self-work about certain things, and you feel like quitting, I'm not telling you to quit because Saturn really actually pays you off when you don't quit. All I'm saying, though, is don't put so much pressure. Like, maybe you quit that, but maybe you put work in a different area of your transformation or of a place where you feel that you can be more committed or be there. But that's up to you, and that's where you're at with your heart. But do that from a heart space. Don't do that from a rebellion space. Don't do that from kind of a crazy space, because we can all become kind of manic. And I think we've revealed that we're all manic in many ways, and kind of the things that we attach to and the drama that we attach to and the things that we go through. So at the end of this transmission here, really be open. Really be honest with yourself. Are you willing to do the work? Like, you know, and I know that trust becomes an issue during this time with people. Trust becomes an issue with a lot of things, because this is very heavy Scorpio. This is very heavy Capricorn. Trust in whether or not people will follow through. And as long as you show up and following through, then you create the energy that that person or that career or that group or that situation you need fixed will come through for you. So you have to transcend now. Because I believe that Scorpio is true transcending through darkness. And when we transcend through darkness, we find the light. There's a lot of light to be found this week. But it's whether or not we choose to be toxic, crazy rebels or loving, deep, transcendent beings of accepting raw, authentic, beautiful truth. So, my reading sale is going on. You want to take some money off? I got a code discount. It's called Crazy. So I'm doing that, I think, until it's like a couple more days. So if you want to book a reading with me for 10% off, go to theleoking.com, click on consultations. And you want to find out how this Venus retrograde is affecting you in your life? Make sure that you check out inclusiveastrology.com and click on the Venus retrograde. There's a drop-down bar with all the 12 sun signs that you can choose from. You don't get all 12. Some people have been thinking like, oh, I bought it, I only got Aries. I'm like, no, you have to pick which one you are. What are you? Or if you want one for your rising sign, pick your rising sign. If you want to get deeper and you're really deep in astrology, because our moon is affected too by all this stuff, you know, how your emotions are going to deal with it. Look at those 3 different ones if you want. Or if you just want one for your sun sign, get that. But check those out. That's at inclusiveastrology.com. And of course, every day I do my daily video on futurelife.tv. Make sure you subscribe to that. And we're building up the highvibe.tv network with the apps and everything. Check that out, highvibe.tv. Anyways, thanks for all the support. I truly appreciate it. Please share this message. I'm sending you all my best energy. Thanks for all the support through everything right now in life. I know it's a very intense time, but I truly believe in true, beautiful transcendence right now and true light out of these intense times, whether or not we're ready to do the work and really own that and be part of that. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys on the next report.